Who is Ben Bader to you?
Ben Bader was one of my first money Twitter friends that I met about 4 years ago and was in I'd call it the pledge class ahead of me.
Okay.
For some reason, we were cool enough to call each other at random times, but never that tight until one day I met him on a layover in Miami. As soon as we met in person at this time, it was about 2.5 years ago, kind of towards the end of 2023, just instantly hit it off. It was that day almost. After that, he was just one of my best friends for life. One of those kind of people. And to the point where I was living in Scottsdale at the time. I was about to sign this new lease, and I was one day trip turned into a week-long trip on this layover. It just kept moving my flight over and over because of how much fun we were having. I was and I'm going to move a floor apart from him, moved into his building, and just immediately started hanging out with him every single day for 2.5 years.
Man.
So that was the story of me and Ben. And to answer your question, he was one of my best friends for life, for sure.
How do you define best friend for life?
I think we all, especially men, we have very special friendships. Not to say women don't too, but it's different for us,
Yeah.
A lot of times you're really building together, and you just know when they're going to be at your wedding. There's just a feeling you get.
Is that the quintessential, that's the peak of friendship for men, is if you're going to be a groomsman at my wedding, or
Yeah.
that's it?
Yeah. The type of friends too, where you don't need to talk all the time, but every time you do, it's like your batteries recharge, those are the best.
How many friends like that do you have right now?
Say 10 guy
That's
friends
a lot.
like that.
What made Ben different?
What made Ben different? So anybody who got to interact with Ben Bader knew he was just an extremely unique person. He really had no enemies or bad days, which I think is extremely hard to find, especially in a dude in his position, where frankly, he was successful for a young guy, right?
Yeah.
And this too, right? It's a lot of times it's driven by insecurity. It's driven by, wanting to be better and prove it to the world and this and that, and in one way or another, right?
Yeah.
In so many different categories. Ben was not at all motivated by that. Ben was strictly motivated by living a better life. He was the quintessential life maxer. It was
What is life maxing?
Life maxing is exactly what it sounds like. It's living the best life possible. Having enough stress to where you grow some hair on your chest, as well as so much enjoyment that never matters. That never ruins you. Having love in your life, having friends in your life, living presently, and achieving things that build your self-worth. Those are the things that go into life maxing, I'd say. He was the GOAT of this. He was the best I've ever seen. I don't think you could really beat him in that category. And I think that was manifested mostly in the fact that he had, it's just dude, nobody is like that, where they have no enemies, not because they're fake too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You heard the Mike Tyson quote, he who's a friend to everybody is a friend to no one, right?
Yeah.
Or he who tries to help everyone helps no one. It wasn't like that. I can be like that sometimes, where I people please. Bro, he was just himself, But he and himself had no enemies. And he would always see the good in people. And that I think largely translates to having no problems either in life. It was just, nothing was that deep to him. It's extremely refreshing to be around. I think anyone that knew him would never pass up a moment to hang out with him. It was always extremely refreshing.
In the world of making money online, there's a lot of grind hustle that's kind of encouraged, right? It's almost like you can't do it unless you have a certain level of grind and hustle. It sounds like he operated at a different way.
What makes you say that?
I think it was evident that he lived with abundance in his mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're telling me there's someone that's saying it wasn't about the money for him, if it was about enjoying the maximum that life had to offer, I know what it's like to operate in scarcity. I know what it's like to operate in a state of I need to make this money. I need to go for it. It sounds like he kind of lived in a state of peace and trust.
Yeah, he totally did. He kind of taught me this too, of peace comes from also a bit of grinding, you know what I mean? And you can't really have it unless the roller coaster is going up and down. It's not fun to be going down unless you're going up kind of scared. So I mean, he would go through times of intentional pain, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm grinding my face off, trying to hit this big goal. Like he would totally do that. There was some days, months even, where like you wouldn't see him. He would just be like, other than just in the morning, he would just be grinding, going to bed at 11 p.m., waking up at 6, like just going straight to it. So I think he just knew how to balance it. I think that's where the peace came from. Is like when you balance, because like at a certain point you have to progress. Progress is peace. So he just knew how to balance that kind of pendulum of like not getting too stuck one way or the other, which I think most of us suck at. We either go through massive periods of grinding way too hard and then forgetting the most important things in life, or we go too on the enjoying of life part, and then we feel a lot of guilt and regret and shame. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think burnout's real. Average person
Yeah.
probably experiences or lives in a state of burnout a lot more than they'd want to admit.
I agree.
Do you have like a favorite tweet of Ben's?
Dude, there's so many good ones. So I mean, I have them all over my house. Like it's
You printed them and just put them all over?
on like little acrylics. I couldn't even try to quote him for you because like the way he wrote is just somewhere I could never do. Like I'm like very dyslexic. He's like extremely well spoken, and the way he would like me and his friend Phil, our friend Phil, he was like one of the musketeers in our friend group. He's the kid that he Venmo'd $1 to.
Tell me that whole story.
It's a crazy story. Philip Venmo'd Ben $1 and was like, mentor me, please, please, please. Philip's young. Philip's 21.
Okay.
Ben Venmo'd him back 1,000 and was like, I'm in a giving mood. Don't fuck this up, kid. and Philip's a grinder. He didn't. He took that and I forgot what he did with it, but somehow they started talking because Ben made a TikTok about it. Philip bought a course with it or something, started to figure out how to do like DM setting, then started DM setting for Luke Alexander, and then went over to Mason. And then him and Mason are like damn near like business partners. And he's been closing and doing the back end for Mason's offer for a long time.
So someone Venmo'd him $1, and that's like a strat if you were like, better than a text or a DM. Like
I've only had it done to me maybe 2 times.
But I love that strat. And Ben sent back 1,000.
Yeah. Like who does that?
That's crazy.
Who does that? Send back 1,000.
That's crazy. What did he teach you about generosity?
I mean, I think that it's one of the highest feelings you can feel in your life. I think that was something like I can't imagine my life without it now. And that's coming from someone that like, I'd say I was generous even when I was broke, but like I still like held on to things. And I think like once you're generous, especially with your money, you become generous everywhere in your life, and people become generous with you too.
Yeah.
It's
Reciprocity.
Yeah. Whatever that word, I'm not going to try to say it, is like a very real phenomenon, right?
Yeah. Well, so I want to, we'll get back to Ben, but give me a little bit of backstory on you. What was your come up like? Because did he foster you in there? Was it immediately like we're peers in this? Like what did that feel like?
No, yeah. So I was one of the first people on Twitter and in general, like this whole kind of
money
space for TikTok marketing. Like I was like one of the first ones to ever talk about it, if not the first on Twitter. I owe a lot of my come up and connections, network, everything to Twitter. It's pretty ridiculous to say that, but it's so true. I just got on there randomly, started talking about these campaigns that I was doing for myself, like dumbass dropshipping stores I was running. And I was shitty at all that e-commerce stuff. Most of my clients are like e-commerce. And I was really bad at that, but really good at the TikTok marketing. And people just caught on. Like I realized, oh shit, like I do not have the numbers at all to be speaking to these people who are asking me questions. There's probably a reason for that. Like I have some value I can bring here. I'm just going to double down on this. And I did. And so in that time, that even brought like people like Ben asking me stuff of like, oh, can you do this for client work? Like, what if I want to offer this, blah, 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 blah. So I just tried to always like early on, especially I was big on like you see, I was generous with my time, like very generous. I'd like do free calls with people all the time, trying to connect with everybody. And Ben was just one of the first people I talked to. He had his like basketball agency at the time.
Basketball agency?
He would help basketball trainers like sell courses and like make more money from it. He realized it was like a really bad offer.
It was like teach, like basically like basketball trainers.
Yeah, exactly. And to be frank, like I had a similar thing, right? Like, so I first was doing it for my own stores, realized I sucked at running the store. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an agency offer. Then I realized, oh fuck, like agency offer in itself is tough because you need a lot of creators. Like I scale out big like UGC creator teams for brands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I have 5 creators. This is a problem. And I hate drop shipping. I'm not good at teaching it. I was like, shit, I need more creators. So at the same time, he was like pivoting. He pivoted first to like, okay, I'm just gonna do like webinar in specific, but work with like make money online type offers and help them run that business really well. I was like, oh shit, I need to pivot into creators. So now I have like a creator coaching program on the front end, right? Which is now like 60-70% of my business, Creators Corner, where they come in and learn how to be a creator. Like I turn like regular people, the more beginner, the better sometimes, into how to create content for brands, connect them with the brands. And then that's my agency side. So we both pivoted at the same time. And like, I feel like naturally combos arise from that.
Do you think that it's important for someone to be in Miami or in Phoenix or like in a hub in order to actually be successful in it? Or can you just network online?
Dude, I love this question because I have a hot take to it.
Okay.
I'd rather be in South Dakota with my fucking boys than I would be in any major city, call it Scottsdale, Miami, New York, LA, any day of the week. And I think people's obsession over going to these cities, like it's going to turn around their life without factoring in who are the people I'm going to be hanging out with. What are the social circles I see myself in is like genuinely ridiculous. It's like blind trust that you're just going to find those people is a recipe for disaster.
Or that they're good people.
Yeah, right. And now I believe that I'm only ever going to be around good people. I'm just one of those like delusionally positive people in that sense. And I encourage everyone to be. I think it's a good way to approach life. But that being said, would I rather take a risk on that or guarantee that? Right. So that was a big reason why I moved to Miami, is because I had my boys, Ben and Mason. And I was like, I'd so much rather be around these people than alone, isolated, trying to figure out and find those in any other city. And it could have been South Dakota, could have been Nebraska. And any day of the week, I would pick that.
What's the motivation behind this? Because like obviously it seemed like you outgrew friends, but you stayed close with friends. A lot of times that is very rare.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So how did you not outgrow your friends?
So this is a good question, actually. I've actually never been asked this, and I think more people should be talking about this too, because I think people get really transactional with their friends, but to an extent, you have to be transactional, right? I do think your friends should always serve you a benefit, same way you should serve your friends a benefit. Like we shouldn't encourage people to like hold on to people that are tearing us apart, right? That's a bad way to do anything in life. But I think specifically in the sense of business and the advice I see online, it's very obsessive over just career, right? So it's like cut off your broke friends, cut off these things. And frankly, I have always approached business like this and done okay for myself. Of you have to have a holistic approach. Like, so is that saying that you couldn't have friends in the church? Is that saying that you couldn't have friends that you laugh with? Because like those aren't always the same people. And
so you need your video game homies, dude.
Huh?
You need your guys that you're logging on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like my hometown friends, like some of them are in grad school or some of them are just chilling, whatever. Like doesn't matter what they're doing to me because I laugh the hardest with them. Like I literally cannot go 2 minutes with them without like having to like get an ab workout. We just like have memories since we were 5 years old. We don't talk about career or money at all. And it's extremely refreshing. Refreshing. And it's like, I feel when I go there, I can be around it all the time because, and same thing for them. They have different goals. But if
do you
I
feel like they tear you down? Do you feel like when you're around that, I think the fear or what people communicate is that, you're the sum of your 5 closest friends. And so if my 5 closest friends are not doing anything with their lives, that's what's influencing me. It sounds like you're though able to, just because you said you have people here, you have people in Miami, you have people in Arizona, you have people in South Dakota, you're able to drop in and be like, I'm present. How do you not make them feel your success?
Wow. So I struggle with this one because I do think it takes a little bit of tooting your own horn. But I'll give myself some credit here. I just frankly never will rank someone's superiority to me and how cool of a person I think they are based off just money.
Mm.
And so I hold that same standard for myself. Like, I don't think my coolest thing about me is money or anything like that. You know, I think it's something I've worked extremely hard for. And I think it's a respectable quality of mine,
Mhm.
that I've more on the determination I've had for it and like the odds I've had to face and overcome to get there. It just really doesn't matter. And frankly, like, I have enough money now where like the things we want to do, like I just enjoy the fact that I can take that off the table. You know, I can take all my home friends out to steakhouse dinners. When I go in town, like every single night we're going out to steakhouse dinners on me. Like it doesn't matter, you know? And so I almost enjoy the fact that I can take that off the table. That's my big goal in life, is to never have to think about money, you know?
Mm.
So to get a taste of that at a young age and my friends respecting that, my hometown friends and all are like unbelievably amazing people. Like they have been nothing but excited for me to win, because I think they just know that I would never, like, it doesn't matter. It's the same way if they were on a gym grind, I would be excited for them, even though like that's not my number one focus. Or if they were trying to become a doctor, I'm not trying to become a doctor, but I'd be extremely hyped for them doing that. You know?
I realized this past week, I was like, I realized that there's a difference between having great friends and having just friends. A friend wants to see you win. That's like a good category of a friend.
I agree.
I think a great friend wants you to see you win more than them. And I don't think a lot of people have great friends. I was doing like a audit of my life, and I was like, man, the amount of great friends I have that are saying like their support goes beyond their own ego. That is like really, really small. And I also I think I was recognizing just like how I could be a great friend. Like I need to grow in that.
Yeah. I
'Cause
think
it's
I
like-
think we all can. I agree for sure.
Because you know that guy that's like, I think of one guy from my hometown. He's a hustler, he's a grinder, he's doing awesome for himself, but he's like, he'll text me out of the blue, just be like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, the amount of friendships that are like that, so few. And I think like, man, like I want to be that friend to somebody, because it's not about, hey, yeah, I made it, you know, come on the come up, let's party, let's have a good time. It's like, how can we stay connected, and what does support feel like, and what does support look like?
Yeah.
When we're at different levels, or when we're just in different areas and we're just pursuing different things.
Yeah. What do you feel like holds you back from being excellent in that category?
Oh, well, right now it's kids. Right now it's just hard to be a great friend, because it's hard to be present. It's hard to be consistent.
Really?
I think the people that get the most amount of time are those people, you know, so like my family gets the most amount of my time. They get all my energy, all my attention. So do you have I have an internal thing of myself where like, I know what I could be, I know what I can do. And when I don't meet that standard, I'm disappointed. And it's not necessarily like this.
This is my number one thing in life.
Yeah. It's like, it's not necessarily that like I'm doing bad. I send the text. I tell people I'm praying for them. I'll hit people up. I'll go out of the blue. I'll send an encouragement. I'll be like, I thought of this person. I'll do it. But at the same time, I know what I'm capable of. And I'm like, there's like 3 gears more that I'm like, I haven't begun to tap into that. And if I could,
God,
really,
this
if I
shit's
just
eating
like,
me up right now, dude. Like this has been like my biggest internal struggle for the last 2 years.
tell me about it.
It's what you just said.
Do you think like,
and I was thinking of that when I was saying it. I was like, I think that's the hardest part about being that friend that really wants people around you to have more of them. It's not like a thing of like, you feel like they're taken away from you at all. It's just it makes you put a mirror in front, like, damn, like it's not that I'm not hyped for them or I feel like they stole something from me. It's like, I feel like I'm not doing the best with myself. It's not even really jealousy. It's like, it's almost just shame.
Yeah. I'm a cheerleader friend. Like, I think there's like, it's the same with relationships. You either have like, it's cheerleader, a partner, or a coach. That's how friendships kind of go.
Wow.
And it's actually also how marriage goes. You either have a cheerleader wife, you have a partner wife, or you have kind of like a coach wife. And I think in healthy dynamics, you have like she'll fit each of those categories. Like she'll be flexible in a specific season to be your cheerleader. She'll be flexible in a certain season to be your partner.
Yeah.
I think in a healthy one. Because if you're just a cheerleader, then you get dragged. Or if you're just a coach, then you just talk down. And so I think it's helpful to have like this balance. But I think in friendships, it's very similar, where it's like, I'm a great cheerleader. I don't have many great friends, and that's probably because I have not been a great friend to that many
Mm,
people. And so it's like I have to look at the mirror in myself and be like, "Oh, the reason I feel lonely in this is because like I'm imbalanced in my actions." And I don't know. I've been ranting on that, but I'd be curious your thoughts because I think
I have a sneaky feeling you just haven't been the greatest friend to yourself, bro.
what does a friend of yourself mean?
I thankfully get a lot of alone time, right? You
Mm,
know what I mean? And I'm trying to really soak that up before I have kids. And I don't think it's being more of a great friend to someone else. I think it can almost be escapism, right? Where it's like let's give, and like that'll make me feel better and it'll make me feel like I deserve it more. Da 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 da.
mm.
But yeah,
When you say like your alone time, the escapism, like when you try to be a friend to yourself right now, what does that look like to you?
dude, this is I hope this helps one person out there, you know what I mean? There's a really good book on it, first of all, called Learning to Love Yourself.
Hmm.
Really good book. I try to reread every year. It's really hard to follow though. Also, Jordan Peterson, he talks about this. Actually, he's the only person I've seen talk about it, where he said one of his 12 rules to life is basically be a friend to yourself as you are to others. So, you know how like you tend to take care of your dog better than you take care of yourself,
Mhm.
or you take care of better care of the friend you're watching than you do for yourself. Like you'll be like, make sure, dude, why aren't you doing your laundry? This and that, and your laundry will be out, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think it is exactly what we're talking about here, right? Where for some reason we love to be our biggest enemies. Like our every single person has this, and anyone who says they don't, I truly do believe is lying unless they're a monk. Um, is like we tend to just degrade ourselves. We destroy ourselves like at least part of our days, and we'll catch ourselves. Obviously,
Mhm.
I think everyone agrees there. It's not like extreme, but sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like imagine hearing what you say to yourself in your head as a person next to you. You'd be like, this is the worst fucking guy ever sometimes,
Mhm.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Why is he so negative? I feel like some of it comes from we're told not to be too proud of ourselves. Confidence is cockiness. Also, it's our bodies. I heard someone say this. Our bodies are built to survive, not to thrive. The mind that thinks negative and looks always for risks is going to survive longer, you know? And like we quite literally did evolve from cavemen not even that long ago, hunter gatherers not even that long ago. And our bodies and nervous system are so wired and geared towards that because those were the ones that survived that had those, right? So we're taking that down, we've taken those genes down of survival. This thriving thing we're doing now where you're supposed to be happy all the time and like abundant and is a very new concept.
That was actually something I got cigars with my dad the other night. A couple weeks ago, they were in town for Thanksgiving, and I was telling him about how I was doing a podcast. I think it was my episode with Pineda, and I felt like I was trying to force confidence. He just told me he was like, "There's a big difference between operating in confidence and operating in clarity." Because when
Your
you
dad
operate
said that?
in yeah, because when you operate in clarity, it's like you don't have to fake confidence. Confidence doesn't have to exist. You can just be very clear about what you want,
Yeah.
and there's a difference.
Right. And so you have to have the courage to be disliked too, right?
Mhm.
That's a big part of that I struggle with.
So, what shaped your perspectives on life then?
I mean, I don't even know, just like everything I've been through for sure. I mean, a big part of it was I've been on my own a lot. Like I've felt like an adult since I was like probably 14 or 15. I was like working retail jobs that age. And so I think that was a big part of it. Like I was just like, okay, I got to figure out this life stuff. And at first it was really hard. And then I took a great amount of pride of, oh, I can get through this shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I find a lot of joy out of seeking more breakthroughs in life of like finding these things. Like, dude, it's crazy you say this stuff. Like, that's like one of my biggest goals for next year is to like learn how to be a better friend to myself.
Mm.
Um, and other years it's been learn how to make more money. And other
Yeah.
years it's been, uh, get in better shape. Like I used to be like fucking anorexic damn near, right? Um, I like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy progressing in my life. A lot of people don't know this, but worry is a sin
Yeah.
because if you're worrying, you don't have faith.
Yeah.
And so I'd be a major sinner in that category at times. You know what I mean?
What do you worry about?
Fucking what people think about me.
Really?
Of course, bro. I think if anyone who's on social media, it's like you have to care about that to an extent, you know?
But you said that people only say positive things about you, so why would you worry about that?
I think that comes from it, bro. Cause you like whatever you're the most insecure about, you cover up the most. You know what I mean?
Mm. It seems like so much of the way you are, you're saying is like based off of insecurity, what people think about you
Everyone's is though.
to some extent.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll grow out of that?
I believe I can. Cause and I know this because I've made massive leaps in this, right? To some level, you can't even admit that if you're too insecure, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've made massive leaps in this.
But you're also aware that being seen as a humble person is a positive thing to be seen as, you know?
Right. That's why it took me back when you said that Ben was someone you were like almost jealous of.
But and I think it's because I looked at skill set. It's easy for me to like give flowers when the skill sets are different.
What
Or,
skill set? What do you think he was really good at?
He's more confidently stoic than I could ever be.
Mm,
Uh, he was more well spoken than I could ever be,
same.
and he was more well written.
Bro, he
And
was one of the best writers I've ever seen in my entire life. You know, this is a lesson I think he'd want me to bring down to is I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be surprised. And I think this is almost one of the most beautiful, you know, he's very philosophical, right? I
Mhm.
think you got that from him too.
Mhm.
I think the ultimate lesson he kind of left with us, you know, is that things will be left unsaid. You never know until it's over. And like when there's literally a complete void of somebody, you have no choice but to leave everything on the table. Like, why would you ever leave anything else out?
What do you think his goal was?
Live an amazing life.
As simple as that.
I don't think he would answer any other way.
Does the definition of that change?
Totally. Different stages of your life, all that, right? At one point, he didn't have a career at all, you know, and he was still definitely very happy.
Yeah.
Live an amazing life. I definitely think would be his main thing.
Tell me about what happened and how you found out that he died.
What happened to Ben? Basically, the day it happened, he was up at his family's house in Jupiter, which is like near West Palm Beach. And so he was staying there just to like little staycation kind of thing with his girlfriend Reem and Philip, our other friend. Philip and Reem had drove back to Brickell and were on the way back. And I was actually talking to them on the phone. I was supposed to come up that day or the next day, and we were just chatting, whatever. And Ben was like working on something. That's why they went back. Like they want to give him some alone time. We're talking for like an hour as they were driving. It's pretty far. Hang up. They call me right back. And I'm like, what's up? And they're like, yo, Ben passed out. Like apparently he passed out in the locker room. His mom just called us. I don't know what it is. And I was like, not thinking anything of it. Like people pass out in the sauna, whatever, right? Cause like that's what he was in the locker room to go do. You know, didn't drink enough water, but something felt really off. Like I won't lie, it was very like eerie feeling I've never felt in my life. And I was like, can you see if he's up though? Like, what do you mean he passed out? Like, I mean, if you pass on the sauna, usually it's like you fainted. And she's like, yeah. And then it's been like 10 minutes and they're like, yeah, he's not up yet. And as soon as I heard that, I get chills thinking about this. I knew that I was like, I've never experienced that, but there's no way that can be anything good. And I was like, I'm coming. Halfway there, Philip texted me. I totally understand this. Didn't want to tell me on the phone, right? Because it's a very hard thing to say that Ben passed. And we had no idea what happened. And those first couple of days are the most traumatic for sure.
Mm.
And, you know, we were just there crying in the parking lot. His grandma was there because she lives in the area too. And we're all just like confused as shit. And that was like the big thing for like the first few weeks. It's just so confused. Like, what the hell happened, right? I've never heard a story like it in my life of somebody just basically having a heart attack at 25.
Yeah.
Seemingly perfectly healthy dude.
Was there any drugs involved?
Zero.
Really?
Zero. Yeah.
So he wasn't even a guy that would be like on Adderall or anything like that.
Nothing. No,
Really?
nothing. No. This like perfectly healthy 25-year-old bro. He was running on the treadmill right before it. He was lifting in the gym, playing like we're just like, what?
Mm.
But everyone kept talking about something, and it was that he had back pain. And like we were all trying to get him to go to the doctor. Me, Mason, Reem, Philip, his mom, his family, like everybody was like for years trying to get him to go to the doctor. for back pain, thinking it's like, I don't know, microfracture, any like I've had that before. And he just didn't want to do it. And it's just like, it didn't seem like anything like terrible, you know, you're 25, bro.
Yeah.
But it turns out, so like we find out from the guy who found him, they found him quick too, 8 minutes. Like that's pretty quick. He never got a pulse. He never got back up. He was on the way to the sauna. So he had just gotten in there to change. He never was in the sauna. A lot of people were saying that. Not true. He was on the way to it. EMTs came extremely quickly, but they never got a pulse. They never got him back up. And so we didn't find out till later that he basically had this crazy genetic heart disease.
Atherosclerosis.
This doctor, I'll send you the video, is saying that half of North America is going to die from this in like the next 30 to 50 years or something. And they have
Really?
all the cures for it. You just have to get ultrasound on your heart. And we had no idea. He was like kind of hiding some really serious signs we found in his chat GPT and stuff like that of chest pain. And one of them being that he couldn't feel his hands and feet, which is like a sign of circulation and one of like the most serious signs of you're going to have a heart attack. You know, and all of us think we're invincible. Like, I don't blame him at all for not wanting to go to the doctor. Like, that's some shit I would do. I'd be like, you know, but if you have the signs, like, you're never too tough to like, you know, live longer. So if you have like the most basic of signs, it's worth going in. Any kind of heart pain, any kind of back pain, so it's worth checking out.
Did you cry?
Yeah, I cry almost like every day thinking about it, you know? But as you can probably tell, I'm like very comfortable talking about this and it's like almost a little weird. And that's something I've talked about on social media too. I mean, I have a great relationship with it. I think I've dealt with loss before, which helps. Not as close as Ben. But his mom gave me this book called Healing with Loss. And the first page I read on his birthday is do not make grief a habit. You know, by the time like we have to deal with all these very necessary things, right? Like the funeral, the memorial, the, you know, moving of his things and this and that and being around family and this and that, we completely alter the course of our life damn near. We built a habit, you know, in 30 to 45 days is extremely strong. You can carry for the rest of your life because of how easy it is to feel. Sadness and grief are very, very, very easy feelings to feel because they're not there. They're never going to be fully fixed, right? But if you work hard to not lose your core habits, right? That sleeping on time, doing the things that drive you, doing the things that, you know, within your business, within your work, within your passions, whatever, you can make your grief, I'd say 5 to 10x less and be something that you actually have a really healthy relationship with, you know?
Yeah. What would you say to him right now?
Damn. We got you. You know, everybody understands it. And I hope that he can see my actions, you know, and that like, definitely thank you.
I saw something that I loved. You said that you were very open about telling him that you loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Does that give you a lot of peace?
Yes. In fact, so much peace. It's completely altered how I approach all relationships in my life right now. And even then, it definitely played a part in it. But like, so a big part of why it's been, I'd say, easier for me than I've seen other people who deal with grief and loss is because I had no regrets with the friendship. Like there wasn't any unsaid things. There wasn't any, we never got in a fight. We never got like, every time we were together, extremely present, epic memories. Like we probably carried 30 years worth of memories in like really like 2.5 years of hanging out. So it's really hard to like be upset about that. You know, frankly, every time I think about him, even when like I want to tear up and cry and whatever, and I do, it's like, I'm like, damn, I'm like just so grateful and happy about those times. Like it's only of like a thing of like, damn, I wish I could go back to that. There's nothing that I wish I did differently and that I wish we did differently at all. And he was the most phenomenal friend to everybody. I think most people feel that.
Do you have a like a library of videos of him?
I have more photos of him than I do of like myself in the last year. And that's like something one of the biggest lessons I took away from this. I actually made a video about it too. Be a Facebook mom, I call it, you know, be that friend. Like there's no such thing as the friend that takes too many videos, you know, like being that friend is the best friend because like if anything, God forbid, were to happen, you have like all these amazing memories that are like priceless, priceless. You can never get those back, you know? And that's like a beauty of cameras and social media and all that is like you can carry that in your pocket.
Yeah. If you could create like a template of this is how to live like Ben Bader lived,
Mm.
and you're looking at a guy that's in his 20s.
So some of the major things, when Ben has a lot of tweets about this that are like very like popular now and then too. He talks about not being seduced into idleness and thinking that you have to ask for permission to be yourself or to chase your dreams, which is like a very profound discussion topic, right? And really comes down to it's like, you know, limiting that time between thinking and doing is a big part of that, right? You can still be intentional, but not have to be overly thoughtful, right? And to the point where you overthink and question yourselves, you almost always have that positive voice in your head that's intuition.
Mm.
And whenever the times you follow that closely, you almost never regret anything in your life. And it's very like good things just come about to people who do
Yeah.
with no like sense of overthinking, right? And trying to package everything. And like that's something I'm trying to do. And I think anyone can take a lot of inspiration from. There's almost always something you know you need to do. He
Yeah.
would say it a lot. The magic you're looking for is in the work you know you need to do. You know, it's somebody else's quote, but huge. I think that's number one. Number two is like living in abundance. And true abundance is, funny enough, like being just as hyped as for somebody else winning as for yourself, because you know there's no limit to your resources and success in the world.
Mm.
And he had another quote where he'd say, sometimes you got to disrespect money to understand it and to respect it. And I was like, damn, that's true. Like sometimes you got to overspend to realize what healthy spending is.
Mm.
And sometimes you got to underspend to realize what healthy spending is. Same thing with like love, same thing with time, everything. Those are two that come to mind.
I guess the question is, how do you hold these things equally? Because it's like right now, I think a lot of people are scared. Like if you get to like the average person, the blind optimistic ability to be able to say it's going to work out, I think people are losing that.
Mm,
And I think people are losing like a sense of hope. I imagine people in like your community, they see this like, oh, it can't be that simple or it can't be that easy. And then they see someone else do it. And then suddenly they do their own version of it. And
right.
there's something that clicks in there that's like, oh, I didn't realize that it was as simple as just saying, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I have a tough time balancing responsibility with that. I look at my circumstances and I'm like, no, I got to be responsible for the stuff I have called. And I just feel so crippled by the state I'm in or the gap between where I am and what I want, that it's hard to live with this like 80-year perspective of like, what do I do with a life that I don't want to regret?
Right.
And I guess that's the biggest question is how can you live a life that you don't regret?
Have you had someone close to you pass?
Mhm.
Did you get that feeling? And I've already noticed it was really strong the first month and I'm starting to lose it. Like I'm have to like really remind myself of it. But were you like, oh shit, like that could be me? And that's like, it's going to go. Anything I possibly care about other than like the wholesome things in life does not fucking matter.
Hmm.
Did you have that go through your head? It's like, like a good tangible example would be like a video that flops.
Mhm.
You know, do you think about that mattering when in those moments?
I'm in a state of life where that's not what matters. But I think for me, kids did that more than, and even losing kids like
Mm,
that did that more to me because it was, I appreciating what I have is like so much more tangible
yeah.
when I'm like, I can't hold this thing that I wanted to hold. You're tapping on something I like a lot though, which is what actually matters.
Hmm.
We've been talking about what actually matters to Ben. It seems like he did a great job of understanding which lever to pull at what time.
Yeah. He had another line. I mean, you can really just read his tweets and get like a lifetime of knowledge, really, though. He'd say you have to have a very low tolerance for misalignment. Have you seen that tweet?
Mm-mm.
Okay. The beauty of life is unlocked when you have a very low tolerance for misalignment, right? So, like, you know, business models, uh, actions in your life, places you live, like the more you tolerate misalignment, the more unhappy you're gonna be.
Mm,
And I mean, it's an answer to a lot of fucking things, to be honest with you.
it is. How does someone make sure that they really enjoy their 20s?
Damn. I mean, the first things first is going to be that listening to that voice in your head that's not telling you to give up and all that. I'm sorry, the positive voice in your head, the intuition. Intuition is never screaming at you. It's never out of fear. It's never like something you need to do right this given second, but it's repeated and it's clear.
Hmm.
Right? Where it's like, for some people that's going to be content. I honestly think too many people are told to post content. I actually saw this video having cracking up the other day, where it's like everyone's like, "Yeah, I just want to start posting content." No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. But like it might be that for you. There's definitely some people that are just like they feel that itch to create. There's also people that feel a calling to literally build. They want to see tangible things get built all the fucking time, right? Like engineers, that's a common one. Whatever it is, right? The real callings in your life that you hear repeatedly, this, but you ignore, that you seduce into idleness, as Ben would say. If you want to live an amazing life in your 20s, 30s, and on, I'd say that is the most overarching commonality of you have to follow that voice of intuition, not fear, not bullshit, peer pressure, none of that. Like simply out of like, you can feel it in your fucking soul. One of the best things I can recommend, that is actually why me and Ben's relationship was so fucking special, is get around people that you can have any kind of open conversation about. You could talk about the things that you're like the most insecure about, like the worst fucking things, as well as like the things that they least want to hear, right? Like, dude, I really don't think you're going down a good path. I really think you're making a dumb decision. I remember Ben checking me on this one of like, I was in that first relationship once you're like kind of making it. And I was just like into this girl way more than I should have. She had a lot of things that didn't align with what I was. And he's like, she's not good for you, Jim. And we had this open conversation and I was like, you're so right, bro. And like those kind of friends it's unreal having those. And there's a lot more of them. And it takes having like a mutual contract basically of, I'm going to tell you when you're fucking up and you are going to tell me thank you when I do. And that's going to go both ways.
I think that's true friendship. I think anything that's not that isn't friendship.
I completely agree.
I don't think I can be true friends with someone unless there's been forgiveness too. Like I until I see the side of you, like what happens when you fail me and how you actually deal with that.
Yeah.
It's tough to see. Like, I want to see someone fail me, apologize, we work through it, and now our friendship's better.
Yeah. Me and Ben had that.
Was it you failing him or was it the other way around?
Yeah, I was too aggressive one time. Not aggressive, that sounds bad, but I was too adamant on actually one thing with a relationship. And he was just like, okay, I get your point, but like it's my relationship. And he was like, you took it too far. And I was like, you know what? No, you're totally right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just saying that, you got to live it.
Yeah.
You got to live it. You got to be like, you're right. And I'm going to show you.
There's so much to learn from Ben. And I think I saw that Bo put together like an email newsletter of his stuff, which I thought that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
What did his death do to change your mind about legacy?
I'm deeply committed to continuing my friend's legacy for life. I mean, frankly, I had to cancel stuff to come to this, whatever. I did it off the premise of like, oh, okay, I like this. We're going to talk about Ben, whatever, I mean, I feel like it's going to be my life's calling that I'm never going to let his name die. Like it's fine that he passed, but his name will never pass as long as I'm alive. I mean, I have this clipping campaign open for him that I raised money for.
I love that. So describe what you did.
And this is something that I recommend all people to do for their friend that if they pass, God forbid, especially if they did social media, start a clipping campaign. So we took all of his old content and like funneled it together. And my friend Eddie Cumberbatch is helping manage it. And we just have a budget and they get paid out on CPMs, whatever. Just to like continue more content out there of him. And it's honestly been doing phenomenally well. Like some of the videos have hundreds of thousands of views.
There's something tragic about when a younger person dies, because when you inspect the quality of what was said, you see it and then you're broken for the potential.
Yes.
You see like, okay, because like,
and he's like one of the strongest examples of that probably.
The reason like Kobe's death was tragic is because he had just retired. And so you're like, man, this guy that was a legend, like we didn't get to see all the stuff that he was going to do.
Yeah.
Because we know he was going to do some cool stuff. With Ben, it's like, man, If he did this much in that span of time, how much would have he gotten if it was 60 years?
Right.
And I love how in a clipping campaign, just for people that don't have context, you're able to pay people to make videos and post them on theme pages that get sent and watched on TikTok and every other platform. And the clippers are incentivized to do it because they get paid by how many views the videos get. And the people that do it are generally just doing it for exposure. But the reason I like this one is because you're making his words, like we're talking about his tweets a lot, you're making his words last.
Yeah.
And they mean something different right now.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not some kid pontificating.
Yeah.
It's like we're preserving the legacy of his last words.
And so that's why it's like, it's different when it's not this like sad thing that everyone talks about when someone passes. Like it's supposed to be like that. We act like, damn, it's so wrong that like this is only happening after he passes. That's part of the protocol.
That's part of why it's powerful.
Exactly.
Social media is this place where it's like it's just this white noise of like everyone is saying so much.
Yeah.
And so little at the same time. What about for you though? So like your goal is to make sure his name is never forgotten. But what did his life like shape in terms of what you realize you want to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big motivator of like, I want a platform, you know, not only to find more individuals that I align with but also of like, I can keep my friend's name alive. And he taught me so much, you know, like we didn't even like scratch the iceberg on like all the things he taught me and all these other things. Did you ever see our content of the Miami guy?
Yes, dude.
This has never been talked about.
That was my introduction to you guys.
Okay.
That was my introduction to you. And I found you on Twitter from those.
Dude, I know. And so one thing that me and Ben used to go back and forth on that you're like confirming, maybe completely out of confirmation bias, is that like at the end of the day, the ultimate thing of people being around you is just like how much do they connect with you and how much like can you be different to a sense of who you really are that just makes people just, you know, enough to like, okay, I'm gonna drop my feelings and reach out to them. I'm gonna like, you know, follow them and do all these kind of things. Like that's like the beauty of things. And Ben was like, dude, it's probably bad for business. Like this and that. I probably shouldn't do this. And I was like, I actually think it's good.
Yeah.
And there was no KPIs we could really like truly measure for that. And we only did it for a month. But the impact of that has been insane.
And for him, it was like the Miami girl, or like it was like he did a couple like role play stuff of like guy in Miami POV.
So the synopsis of it is basically it was a 6-week run. That was it.
Okay? Really?
6 weeks, and that was it. That we completely stopped after that. It was 6 weeks, and we did, I think, combined at least 40 or 50 million views. Like I hope he doesn't care that I'm saying this. It started off, he was going through a breakup and we were just like laughing about it. And like we had made one video as a joke like a year ago, one video about like guys ignoring red flags that got a few 100,000 views and never remade it, right? And we're like, dude, let's do it again. Like I wanted to get I was trying to be a good friend to him. Like I was like, let's get your mind off this. And we just thought of this script off rip, right? And we would just like, he would bring his writing mind, I would bring my whatever. And it was like, so what do you like to do for fun? And then I would play the girl in all of them, right? So I'd turn on the girl voice and he'd be like, oh, nothing, go to Pura Vida, this, that. And he was like saying it at the same time as me. And then it just cut. And he's like, oh, that to me was the most fun thing I've ever done in a friendship in my entire life. It was the most fun time of my entire life. Cause I was just there like watching my boy like become a celebrity. And
yeah, because you were never on the other side of the camera.
Never.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun, bro. I barely even had like Instagram at that time.
Okay. So any other, you said we're just tipping the iceberg. Anything else about Ben that you're like, I want this immortalized?
I gotta say this, and I'm saying this with utmost respect. Ben completely changed my approach to females and my confidence and everything. So man, I didn't realize how bad my game was until I was around Ben because how elite he was. He was super respectful to women. He never crossed that line. Very well raised. He was never disrespectful. He never felt like he had to be an alpha male, aggressive kind of guy, whatever. And I think that's like one of the coolest things ever about him. Like you can have game and still just be like down to earth.
Yeah.
Right. You can be sweet. In fact, he'd be like overly sweet sometimes.
Yeah.
And just like his willingness to do that, not caring what they thought, is like extremely magnetic.
Yeah.
Right. He was a very magnetic person because of that. And one of the things, this one tip I can give that has vastly changed my life. Okay. And it's gonna be funny. Like you're married.
It's not for me. For anybody that's single, that's looking to get some motion.
He would say, never, ever walk up to a girl and act like you don't know who they are. Like he's like, you guys have known each other for years. And so why the fuck would you ask what's your name? He's walking up and he's going, yeah, what'd you do today? Damn, really? Okay, yeah, I was into that too. But like he would be like like the way you would talk to a friend catching up is how he'd be off rip. And it's
legendary.
Isn't it wild how that
legendary?
Like a reframe that like bro, and it's unreal. I can't imagine my life before it.
Yeah. Girls can probably tell whether they're attracted to someone very quickly, but what they're actually attracted to is like personality. And if you can show that kind of personality, like.
Yeah, and it wasn't this fake confidence, right? Everyone says have confidence, this and that. It was just like he was in a position to be confident. I wouldn't say that he was always perfect.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think it was like there was no pressure.
Do you think he was going to settle down?
Yeah, oh, hell yeah. No. Him and his girlfriend were very in love. They're very in love. They had a very special relationship, very deeply connected. But Ben was easy to love too. Like girls were obsessed with him. And okay. Here's another one that really good is he taught me. Remember I said we had that conversation where he told me like you're lying to yourself about this chick. He would never lie to himself. He never once tried to fit a partner into a box. And all men tend to do this, especially young men with money. And he was more down for like, I'm trying to find a partner.
Yeah.
And I'm okay dying single. And I was like, that was an extremely powerful thing for me.
Okay, dying single.
Yeah. He's like, I'd rather die single, than be in a relationship with somebody just to be in a relationship.
So change some of these statements. I guess like I want you to turn them into you statements at some point too. Guys need to know it's okay to be single.
Right. Ooh, that's
like,
a good video.
They really need to know that. Because I mean,
would you agree with that as a married man?
100%.
For some reason, you guys don't tell a lot of single men that.
I think there's a lot of guys that get married and regret it.
Get married what?
And regret it.
I mean, divorce rate.
Well, divorce rate, and you don't recognize that you didn't choose someone that's going to change with you. And then in those seasons, you didn't choose someone that you enjoy changing with.
Yeah.
And so I think like a lot of people marry the person or they're with the person, they're thinking this is the person I'm with. But it's like, what's so much more important is being like, can we actually navigate through really hard things?
Yeah.
Like we're going to face really hard things together. Can we navigate through that? And sometimes guys are just like dating a girl for 6 months. Cause to be honest, it's easy to date. There's like a distance.
And this is a big lesson I learned from Ben too.
But if you're married, it's like, no, like we're united. 20 years from now, what do you think you'll be saying to yourself right now?
I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if I wasn't saying I was living a boss life, you know, like I'm like I'm well aware, like I'm living much better than most 20-year-olds live, you know, or I'm 24, but
I've only heard positive things about you.
That's awesome.
I think if you're 24 and you're feeling that, that's insane.
Right.
That's an insane thing.
It's true. And that's why it's like important to make sure you're being a good friend in those relationships and whatever. Like anyone you respect, you should be given praise to, support to, and you know, not and being aggressively who you are. You know, don't lie to yourself for them. Like you can tell when somebody's faking it, but if anything, just like make sure you really appreciate.
It's insanely rare in this world to find someone that is 24, talks the way you talk, walks the way you walk. I mean, I heard a story that you bought a private jet ride for a couple. Can you tell me that story?
Damn, dude. Yeah, that was like probably one of the best days of my life.
Really?
It's crazy. I have a whole video on my Instagram about it, but I met some couple and I had a very big blessing come through in my life. I do TikTok marketing, right? And TikTok was about to get banned. And I prayed, I said, God, if you bring me through this, I will like give me an opportunity to show you a blessing here. Like I will be a blessing to somebody else. Like I recognize this heavily. And it was wild. I'm talking 30 minutes later, I had like a visceral feeling in my body that this person in my life was placed for a reason. And it'd be really hard to argue that it wasn't. It was this lady, Jane, older lady. I got stuck at JSX on a flight to New York, craziest storm like the last 10 years in New York. All the JSX flight was canceled. Cheat code, by the way, JSX to Miami, cheat code. It's $1,000, best flight you'll take. This lady, she's like, has this dog with her. She's an older lady. And she's like, I have a big respect for like motherly women. Like, I think that's like, my mom's like that. And I think it's really cool. She's like, we're gonna go get some lunch. Do you want me to get you something? And I'm like, who? Come on, bruh. Like, who does that? You know, dude, I had my girlfriend at the time, and I looked at her and I was like, that's really sweet. Like, whatever. That would be awesome, right? You can't block their blessings. Something I've learned too. As much as you want to say no, it's fine. Like, say yes, even if you're not going to eat it, dude. And I was like, I'm gonna see if I can get a fucking jet because this flight, we knew the flight was gonna get canceled, and I got a deal on this jet. Worked out perfectly, divine timing. And I was like, "Yo, if I get this jet, do you and your husband want to come with us?" And she was like, "Uh." I don't know. And then she like asked her husband. Her husband was like very like he was like a lot older than my boy Alan. And they were down and we went and we brought their dog and I've stayed in touch with them since. And they were totally random, but it was like very quickly like they were like my adopted grandparents.
Mm,
Very life altering moment.
mm. Do you does that change your relationship with money? Like do you see money as being evil or do you see money as being good as a result of that?
The social norms around money are extremely odd to me. And I've questioned this since I was a young age because I was also always fascinated by it. I knew I wanted to be a hustler, a businessman, whatever, right? And I asked my dad, how much money do you make? And he's like, dude, don't ask. I was like 6 years
Mm.
old. He's like, don't. And I asked his friends too. And he's like, what the fuck are you like, dude, like, don't do that. I'm like, why? You know? And he's like, I've never heard an answer better than because you just don't.
I guess the two things I think would say the most about a person is where they spend their money and where they spend their time.
Right. Me and Ben would talk about this a lot because it matters, right? It doesn't buy happiness, but you do need it to be happy. And I would argue that.
Yeah.
Right.
A certain tier of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Everybody's number is different, but you do need a baseline.
I've struggled with that of being like, what is enough? Because it's hard to be in the entrepreneurial world, and then suddenly you find people who are defined by 9-figure versus 8-figure versus 7-figure versus 6-figure month or like whatever that is.
Yeah.
And you see someone you see someone tweet or something like that, and it's like, okay, now I'm a 6-figure. Like they use it as definitions for themselves.
Yeah.
And I immediately go to question of like, okay, what are the things I actually value? I'm not content with the amount of money I make, but I don't think I'd like the person I'd be if I made that much.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
So you should break down that barrier before, and then you're gonna unlock it. I'm just letting you know that too.
really?
Yeah. As soon as you sounds like somebody who's scared of their potential, you know, and I think that's a very
Probably.
common thing. I could see that.
Self-sabotage?
Yes.
Yeah.
You should definitely break that belief because I've done it before and it fucking works.
What did you do?
To just like literally go root down that answer every single day in your journal, meditations, whatever, until you're like, no, I'm ready to be that person.
Mm.
And I'm not going to fuck it up. And I can't wait to be that person. You're going to become it very fucking quickly.
Mm.
You know, it's another thing that I think really, this is something Ben used to say too. I think it was actually one of his last videos, but I heavily agree with. Just be clear here, because I do have, like, I think I said it earlier, but I have a coaching program and stuff. And so one thing that sucks and is great about this, okay? I like exist in a space of a lot of bad apples, and you could never say that I'm a bad apple. Like you could try, but you could never.
Mhm.
I'm best friends with all my students, and all like we really care. Like it's just, and it's something that I can say and it can't show until it's done.
Yeah.
But Ben was like that too. Like half the people at his service were his students, and I think that was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The night after he passed, they had a 120 person Zoom call with just his students saying that like this was the best thing they ever did, and they're so glad they made that decision. And they brought his parents on. That's dope to me. The more you tell yourself everything in life is a scam, you're gonna keep finding it. You know, and it's like I do encourage everybody to do your homework. My program is not for everybody. Absolutely not. If you don't know how to use a phone, you're gonna have a horrible time. But the more you look for, I do believe there's good apples. I've said that other times too. I do believe there's good women. I do believe I will only be around good people. I do believe that my intentions will be seen properly. It's one I'm working on, trying to say it more. The better your life gets. I've never seen that fail.
Yeah, Jimmy, I want to say that I think it's remarkable how wise you are, and it's remarkable how humble you are. Those
Thanks, man.
those two things don't usually like fall in the same place. I think a lot of times
Damn.
people feel like they're extremely smart, and they're like, I've got this experience and you can't shake away my experience, and then there's an arrogance with it. But it's evident that you're being very vocal about the stuff you're still processing.
Mhm.
And the thing I love about it is because it's actually so wise to admit that you're on the journey. Like, it is so wise to be like, I am fierce in this. I'm becoming this. I'm blindly optimistic in these things. But like, I'm still in the process of teaching this to myself. I think the way that you communicate it, like, it's profound. Like the stuff you've said in this, like, I don't hear 40-year-olds saying it,
Mm.
you know?
Thank you, bro. That motivates the shit out of me
But
too.
I'm telling you, I think it's important. Like you talking about making content. I think I would just really strongly encourage you to like not just use it as this was Ben's words. Like I want this podcast to be about Ben's words,
Uh-huh.
but I really, really would love for you to just be like, take them as your own. And I think
That
like,
just changed my brain chemistry. Thank you.
yeah, bro. I seriously, because I think the way you communicate is powerful. What you're believing is powerful. There's something about you that's infectious.
The things that we were most meant to do, we often struggle with the most,
Mhm.
right? And you feel the most resistance to. The War of Art. You read that book?
No.
Okay, it's a I forget the guy's name, but it's a concept of resistance. They talk about resistance to the work, resistance to the craft, resistance to the mission, right? Because, dude, I heard you say it earlier with the money thing, where you're like, I fear that person I can become, even though you know you're capable of it, and that's what
Mhm.
pisses you off,
Mm.
right? It's those things that I'm starting to learn is like, okay, that's I know that about myself. I know that like I can make someone realize their traits by just being so infectiously full of energy and whatever.
The person you're going to be at 30 is scary. Like it's a scary person. Just because I think you underestimate how much influence you can actually have if you tried. You've already accomplished more than anybody else probably would want to. And I just want to tell you, like, if you keep this hard, I think you're unstoppable. And I just think I would take the baton and I would run yourself. That's all it is.
Damn, dude.
So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Grant. Bro, thank you.